Hey, what's up, YouTube? My name is Professor X, and welcome to The Link. Here on my channel, I like to focus on all of the important areas of our lives: our friendships, our relationship with God, and our God given purpose, and to present Christ as the missing link to bring everything together. All right, guys, so we are going into part 2 on our series on singleness. And I am going to be talking with a very special guest. He's actually been on the channel before. If you guys watched my series on addressing toxic masculinity, I brought him on when we talked about finances. His name is Fabian Bartlett, a dear brother of mine, a mentor of mine, and he has been a huge influence in my life. And I wanted to bring him on the channel once again to talk about his testimony in singleness, because I believe that Fabian can give us advice far beyond anything to do with investing and money. I believe he can give us true life experience that we can learn from. And so we'll be hearing from his perspective. And so I hope that you guys enjoy our content. Today we're having a Zoom call, so bear with any audio changes or any sticks that may happen, but I assure you that the content will still be potent. And so I hope that you enjoyed today's video, and let's get straight to the Zoom call. All right, so Fabian, thanks again for joining us on the channel. It's so good to have you again.
Yeah, always good to be here. Love the content. Love what you are doing. I know it's reaching many and helping many, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, man, I was just telling the viewers that I believe that you have so much to offer us, beyond the investments, beyond the financial information, because obviously you would have gone through so much before that and during that. And so as I go in this series on singleness, I thought that your testimony would be very valuable. So as we kick things off, I just want to know from you, Fabian, just a brief overview of your journey to marriage. Just give us a little snapshot of how that journey went for you.
Yeah, well, as it relates to my marriage to Pearl, it's very interesting. We met about 2 years before we even met on a date. All right, we met in the barber shop. I was sitting down in the barber shop getting my hair cut, and in comes her brother. I didn't know it was her brother at the time. And for whatever reason, on that day, she came to the barber shop with her brother. Never saw her in my entire life. Didn't know who this young lady was. I asked my barber right away, like, does she come here often? Is she a regular? Who is this girl? Right? I need to get to know this girl. Sure enough, as soon as my haircut was done, I went and I struck up a conversation. Now, reminding you at the time, I did not know it was her brother. So that could have been her boyfriend, that could have been her husband. I don't know what the relationship was with her
Oh,
and the
wow,
guy.
look at the boldness.
I had no idea. I didn't know it was her brother, right? But I said, I don't care who this man is. I just need to have a conversation with this girl, right? She showed me some pictures of her locks that she had recently cut off. So I saw her with the locks, flowing in her back, and my goodness, it was captivating. I saw her what she was then, what she had looked like in that moment. And I also saw all that she could be, like all of the moment. I saw the past, the present, and the future, all flashed before my eyes. And we exchanged numbers. I got her number, and I must have said something right to get her number, right? So,
You don't even know how much I relate to that.
so I got her number, and we didn't see each other until 2 years later. We kind of just really started talking a lot on the phone. And then I said, you know what? Enough of this phone life. We've had a great WhatsApp friendship, but I was tired. I was absolutely tired of just messaging, and it was
I
great.
feel on another level.
It was great, not knocking that because it served its purpose, but I needed more, and I said, look, just let's go. We were under a storm watch on that particular day that we had our first date. I invited her to Lake Grove, for ice cream, and I told her, just meet me there for 6 p.m. And sure enough, through the thunder and the lightning and the rain at 5:59 p.m., 1 minute early, here comes Pearl walking through. I was there sitting, I got there before. And
But look at that.
and for the time she was walking in, like I just knew, like just the ability to come through all that weather, the ability to be on time, to keep her word. I just knew that something special, was going to be established. And as the saying goes, the rest is history. I had $11 on that day. I had $11 in my pocket. That was all the money I had in my name, $11. And I invited this young lady out for ice cream. The ice cream that was for her cost $5, and the ice cream that was for me cost $5. I had $1 left over. I felt so good to be able to pay, to be able to facilitate the date. That's the man's responsibility. But I had $11, and she actually ended up taking me home because I had no way to get home. I had no way whatsoever, no money, and she ended up taking me home. But it was a great start. That's how our journey began.
Well, just in that story alone, Fabian, we see boldness, we see taking a chance, and it took that special someone to see that effort and honor it. So, guys, we are talking to a guy that's married to a phenomenal woman. I know her personally, and I can tell you, she's the real deal, right? So, Fabian, we know that you, through God's grace and God's leading, ended up married to this phenomenal woman. But before you got to this point, before you guys met at the barbershop, you had a season of, that journey of singleness, walking out your faith with God, walking out your journey in life. And I want us to talk about that a little bit because in my last video, I was talking about how a lot of times we view singleness as a curse because you get to a certain age, you think, man, I gotta have a family, man, I gotta have a wife, I gotta have kids, I gotta be able to do all this, that, next, and third. But when you have that mindset, sometimes you can miss the lessons that are in that season of singleness. So the first question that I have for you is that when you were in that season of singleness before you met Pearl, how did you view that season? Right? Did you see it as an opportunity to get, your things in really in line, your vision, your plan? Or was it more of a situation where you just wanted to get it over with?
Funny enough, that's a really interesting question, particularly for me, because I was in relationships before that failed, that really didn't work. And I felt like I tried my best to force those relationships. I wanted, to be together with someone so badly. Me forcing the issue never worked out in my favor. So I just decided what's going to be for me is going to be for me. Let me just accept what the word of the Lord says and just enjoy my single life. The I mean, being in a relationship, particularly marriage, is a lot of responsibility. Being in a relationship itself is responsibility, and then even to the next level of being married, it's a lot of responsibility, and you don't realize that you have, a fair element of freedom. you know, and that's not freedom to be wild. That's not freedom to, be overly expressive in negative manners. That's freedom to find yourself. That's freedom to establish your relationship even stronger with Christ. That's freedom to build genuine bonds, with your friends and your family. And I really started to do that only after the harsh lessons, only after taking lashes. And I discovered certain things that I really, really wanted for me, absolutely for me. And I think I would have wanted in a life partner as well. Right. And that's what the season of singleness, I think it really provides. It helps you to have clarity on who you are. You should understand what your purpose is in life. You don't need someone to complete you. You should be complete on your own, independent, of someone else, and then you bring that completeness to the table, to the relationship, and ultimately, you get together with someone. As a matter of fact, I think Jesus probably delays you from getting that relationship established with someone else until you've really, reached that level of maturity, that level of completeness, because it's not 50% and 50%. It's one and one, which makes one. Now, don't figure out the mathematics of the kingdom. It's different to what you would have learned in secondary school. Absolutely. Where one plus one is one. So that's what it was late for me. It was frustrating. I won't lie. There were times where, I lived alone for a little bit, absolutely a bachelor, so no family around, no cousins, no mom, no brother, no sister, just me, the TV, the kitchen, and I'm just alone in the house. And sometimes you get lonely, man. Right?
Yep.
You want some company, you would love someone to come by, and you would have invited people over that did not have your best interest at heart, just to fill a gap, plug a hole, and you understand that, these people are not really chasing the things that your life is set out to be. They're not on the same path that your life is set out to be on. And after a while, you realize that it doesn't matter how many people you invite over, it's not going to fill the void. Right? You need to establish your relationship with Christ and get that sorted, and He's going to, fill that void, and then you're going to be, ready for the next level relationship.
It's interesting that you brought that up, Fabian, because I have noticed in my own life that a lot of times you look at relationships and you see it as a fix. You see it as the answer to all your problems, and the problem is often portrayed that way. You look at movies, and it turns out that the partner is literally the solution to everything. They find this person, everything is better again, and they run away to do this, that, and the next. So sometimes we can grow up idolizing relationships, thinking that if we could just find that perfect person, all of a sudden my trauma is gone. All of a sudden I know exactly what I want to do. And you were saying earlier that before you met Pearl, you were in some relationships that did not go the way you wanted to. And you also spoke about forcing the issue. Guys, that is something that I struggle with a lot. So you're not alone for sure, Fabian. So I just wanted to get some insight on what happened there. Um, do you believe that in that season that relationships was an idol? Were there things that you thought it could fix that you realized only Jesus could fix that?
I would say yes. I would say absolutely yes. That relationships did serve. Perhaps know that I am older, wiser, looking back as an idol. I probably would not have identified relationships as an idol then, but now I certainly can say that I love love. I believe in romance. I would sit down, the chick flick movies, and I'm giving myself away a bit here. I would end up, with a little onion, water in my eye. It's not tears, it's because the onion, was too strong. Yeah, but I enjoy romance, right? I'm a hopeless romantic at heart. I like the idea of love. Right? I like the idea of walking together in the park and holding hands, and you're sitting down, in the movies, and you're rubbing shoulders next to one another, and you put your arm around her, and she puts her head on your shoulder, and I love the idea of love, and that's what is portrayed on television. That's for sure. But love is a choice. Love is a choice because love does not look like that on an everyday basis. Love is doing the dishes when you absolutely hate doing dishes. Your wife, she was out all day, she's tired, she's hungry, and you care about her. So even though you hate that particular chore, you're gonna do it anyway. Love is taking care of the young baby, even though you have tasks that the young baby is gonna interrupt. And making sure she's fed, changed, clothed, bid, everything that needs to be done, and knowing that that is fully going to interrupt your schedule, right? but accepting the interruption anyway because love is a choice. Love is choosing all the time to do what is in the best interest of your partner. And I didn't always make those choices, and I didn't always feel like someone screaming at me, telling me that they're angry about this, or you want to have your feelings justified, satisfied, taken care of, but love has to give consideration to someone else's feelings as well. And sometimes how they feel doesn't always line up with how you feel, right? Even though those things are happening, love is listening anyway, identifying where it's coming from, meeting them in the middle, compromise, sacrifice. That's what love is. So the holding hands and the pecks, on the cheek and on the lips and all the wonderful stuff that we enjoy on television, that is about 5%. And so much, of what your day to day looks like. And that's not to play down love, and that's not to say you're not going to have great moments and enjoy each other's company and have a lot of fun together. Because per the night, we have fun. We have a whole heap of fun. Uh, but there's an element of responsibility that should never be ignored, that should never be overlooked. Yes, like I idolize love uh, before I understood what it really was. But no, know that I believe that I do, and I'm still learning every day. I'm still growing in the area. It's no longer an idol for me. My love has to be deeply rooted in Christ, the relationship with Christ. Nothing can replace Him. Not even a woman, not even a child, right? Right? Uh, God forbid if Pearl were to die tomorrow. I don't want her to. I absolutely think, that she will be alive and well and will live on, but I would still have to be able to function and carry out my purpose in the earth. But if God forbid, for some reason, something were to happen, should I just abort purpose? Should I just, forget why I'm here on the earth and not function? No. And it's to have that understanding. And if you have that understanding, love wouldn't be an idol. What Jesus wants is relationship, right? And you get that in your head first, love wouldn't be an idol anymore.
Yeah, and to your point, I think that a lot of times we tend to the whole idea of relationships being the fix is making them your God, making them your source, forgetting that the ultimate source is Christ. And I recently got into a relationship, and something that I have been learning for sure is that no matter how good
Congratulations.
someone's intentions are, they're not perfect. So you will have times when you feel down, you feel discouraged, and as much as you want to lean on that person, they're just not in the place, right? So you have to have that relationship with God to be able to be grounded, so that if for whatever reason this person can't do it, or they, because everyone has their own problems, right? So I have recognized that as good as relationships are, they come with their own set of issues and their own set of problems. I feel like sometimes we kind of think that when we get into relationship, it's going to be all lovey-dovey, fairies, butterflies, and never gonna got any responsibility. But then you forget that I once heard in sermons preached that if you can't be happy by yourself, how could you be happy with somebody else? Because when you get in relationship, you don't only deal with your problems, you deal with theirs too. I think it's a situation where we need to see singleness as an opportunity to love ourselves and an opportunity to find direction. Because if we can do those two things, and then God brings us into relationship, then that will prepare us for the trials that will inevitably come.
Yeah, I was just going to say, your partner can be anything for you, but she can't be everything for you. She can be a friend, she can be a confidant, sometimes she could be your lawyer, sometimes she could be your pastor, sometimes she could be your psychologist, sometimes, she could be, an athlete on the team with you, running around on the beach, she could be your beach. Anything that you want, she could probably fit into the bracket on any given day because you're doing life together. But she can't be everything. She can be anything, but she can't be everything. You're everything is in Jesus. Yeah, He is the one, for sure, that no matter, because some of those things that you want her to fill to be, she may not have the capacity. She may not have the ability, the capability. Even though you're allowing for her to be X or Y or Z, she just doesn't have it within her. It's not in her DNA. It's not how she was designed. But Jesus, He can be your everything. So He gives you the wisdom, to know, okay, I can lean on her for this. We can work through this together as a team, or, this one, in as much as she may be aware, I know that she can't be the solution, right? Nothing wrong with her having an awareness, but she can't be the solution for it. Your problems cannot be solved by your wife. Your problems can be shared and discussed with your partner, with your wife, your girlfriend. But if you're looking for a solution, she may help to guide you towards a particular solution at points, not every single time. She may be able to give you that solution, but sometimes she may. But your solutions are really, really found in you yourself doing your own homework, building your own relationship, digging your own wells, establishing, who you are with God. She can't live your life for you, and you can't live your life for her. Right? You give great advice to each other, support one another, but ultimately, if there's no relationship with God, then you're gonna have a challenge. You are meant, though. You are meant to be something for your partner that other people cannot be. Because you are together, because God is working on your relationship and you're growing as a team, there are things that you're going to be able to bring to her and she's going to be able to bring to you, that you're going to be able to pull out of each other that no one else can. I heard Pastor Sue say one time, I would never ever forget this in a mentorship session. She said, my greatest mentor is my husband. When I think back on my life and how I've grown and developed as a person, how I've shaped myself over the years, the biggest influence on my life, the biggest advisor, the biggest person that caused me to change and challenged me to grow was my husband, Dr. Marlon Husband. And when I heard it, I coveted it. Complete transparency, complete honesty. I coveted it. I said, I didn't want Pearl to speak about me like that. But then I realized that happens over time. Because my pastor was younger, she didn't see Dr. Husbands as her biggest mentor then. But over time, she realized, just the influence of him on her life. That was a key realization for me. Addressing issues and fixing problems and give things time. And God works with you over time.
Yeah, for sure. Um, if is one thing that comes through all of this is that the foundation has to be set. And the best thing to set that foundation is in singleness, because in that season, there's less distractions. In that season, you got those moments where it's just you and God. It's just you and His Spirit. And you get the chance to connect, form a connection, form a foundation so that when you encounter relationship, you can steward it well. Because here's it. The truth is, you can't learn everything before you get in relationships. That's the
Mhm.
opposite side of the spectrum. Then you
Yes.
got some things you just don't know quite well just yet until you go through certain situations with the partner. But you at least have that foundation in place so that when you hit those trials, you at least have an idea of what to do. So, like a person that is used to running to God when they get into issues, when they end up in an issue with their spouse or their partner, their first instinct, instead of fighting, is let's pray about this. And something as simple as that makes a huge difference. Something that I have been learning for myself as I've been going through relationship is that communication and grace goes a long way, because you may have a natural response. But when you take a minute to consider the person's heart and consider the person's position, you start to realize that a lot of your feelings are as justified as you think.
Mhm.
And
Mm,
something that powerful doesn't start in the relationship, starts before
mm.
that.
You're right.
You only get to understand what that's like when you understand the sort of grace God has for you. So
Yeah.
then when you end up with someone else, you can start to show that to them as well. I used to um so going back to forcing the issue, I used to try to make things happen. I wanted to be in a relationship so bad because I feel like, oh Lord, I'm so lonely and I need somebody to help me with this, to help me with that. And it's only when I met my girlfriend now that I realized, Xavier, you didn't know nothing. Nothing. All these things you thought we were ready for, you were not. Because even while we were friends, there are situations that came up that I realized, yo, I am not prepared for this. And so God had to take us through a season of waiting, a season of building up before we could even come together. Because there are certain problems you just could not reach over with the limited experience you've had trying to rush things. So, my encouragement to everybody watching this is that while you're in singleness, that's not a season to rush because this is the time God is using to prepare you to steward the next season well. So now, Fabian, as we come to the end of our session, the last question I have for you is, know that you're married, know that you've gone through all of those stages and you're still learning. What would you say you would have done differently as a single person, or what advice would you give to single people who might feel lonely, who might feel as if they feel cheated, they may feel as if they shouldn't still be here, this is not going according to plan? What would you tell them given your experience?
Yeah, great question. Fantastic question. And, you know, sometimes we pray for things. I love what you were saying there just now. We ask for things that we think we want, yes, but we're not ready for. Being ready requires you to become a different version of yourself, to continue to evolve all the time, because who you are in first form is not who you need to be in second form. Who you are in second form is not who you need to be in third form. A different version of you is required at each level. Right? I remember I was preaching a sermon and I spoke about going back to one again, but on the next level. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 is one again on the next level. 21 is one again on the next level. 31 is one again on the next level. And that's what the difference really is between singleness and being in a relationship. And I would advise anyone to ensure that you can transition to what's required on that next level. 11 is never going to look like one. It's similar in terms of the composition, the structure, but 11 means you've passed through 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. So it can never look like one, because even though as similar as the composition and structure of the number is, your experience is so vast. What you've grown, what you've understood about yourself. And that's what I would say, to people, and the way how I would like to answer this question, anything I would learn. Like, I wasn't ready for what I thought I was ready for. I wasn't. Although in marriage, I'm still becoming ready. I'm still preparing. All right. There are levels to this. There are people who've been married much longer than me, who've been engaged in this thing, that have a lot more experience, and they can teach me. And there are people that have the experience and they still haven't learned. If there's something that you're meant to learn and discover you, who you are, who you're meant to be in the earth, what's your purpose in life, what your relationship should be. How do you relate to people when you're single? That's a good question for you. How do you relate to people? How do you relate to your mom as a single man? How do you relate to your sister as a single woman? How do you relate to people in church? What are your relationships like with people in church as someone who's single? Discover yourself. Do a lot of personal development. Read more. Spend a lot more time with God. Pray more. Ask God to teach you who you are. And he will, because he wants to. Right? It's written all over the word, right? The image of God, right? But what does that really mean? What does that look like? How's that played out in the earth? Ask him, he'll tell you, he'll show you. I promise you, and that is what you're bringing to a relationship so that you can be an aid to him or her. A relationship, let me tell you, uncovers your problems. It doesn't solve your problems. A relationship is like a big pot cover. It uncovers the problems that exist. You're gonna face them head on, right? So don't try to use a relationship to smooth over,
Oh, Fabian.
absolutely, right? So that's what I would say about that question, my brother.
Yeah, you spoke so much truth just now. When you get in relationships, your problems are exposed. There are so many things about myself that I did not know until I started to get into relationship. So is a situation where when you are single, take advantage of this time. Take advantage of the opportunity because you have an uninterrupted season of becoming the best you could possibly be before you now have to take someone else under your wing and support them. So
And one more thing is like build genuine relationships. Care about people, get to know people, enjoy people, have fun with people, hang out with people, genuinely, and that's going to help you to discover, more and more of what you want and who you are as well. Right? So that's one other thing I would add.
yeah, and it's interesting that you brought that up. It's like the season when you think you don't need it as much, or you're not desperate for it anymore. I heard the statement made that when you're desperate, you're not picky,
Hmm.
right? I heard that from a podcast I listened to. And it's true. When you're desperate, your standards are gone.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
when you come to that place where it's no longer like the lifeline of you, then you can have those standards. Then you can have direction. And it's that time that God just starts to do things, and it's amazing. Um, so my hope for everybody listening to this is that you take your season of singleness seriously and see it as a blessing. This is God's time to really get close to you so you can understand him, understand your call,
Yeah.
and create that foundation that he can create a skyscraper of a relationship out of if that is his will for you. And so Fabian, I thank you for coming on here again. I know that we have a lot more talks in the future, but it was good to have your perspective. It was good to hear your experience. I know that people are going to get something from this. So just thanks again for having me out to talk about this topic.
Sure, man. And thanks for having me. And I know the viewers will enjoy this and every other session that you're going to put out. Continue doing what you're doing an amazing job.
All right. So guys, I hope that you got a lot from this, but this officially ends our Zoom call.
All right, guys, so you heard it from us. Singleness is a season to treasure. It's a time for us to learn who we are and to gain that foundation so that when God does call us to relationship, we have the tools to steward and to continue learning. So I hope that you guys learned a lot from Fabian's testimony. I know for sure that I have some things to take away. But stay tuned because we have lots more to come. We have some more guests coming on to talk about their testimonies and their stories. And I know that they will also have potent things to share. So, guys, stay tuned for what's coming. But until next time, I pray that you stay blessed and that you stay in His presence.